Welcome to Asian Music Idol, your ultimate backstage pass to the hottest stars and stories in Asian pop.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got quite a stack of interesting sources here,
Yeah, definitely.
and they're all pointing toward something pretty exciting, I think, happening, where these two huge music scenes meet, K-pop and Indian music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it, right? The last few years, you can't really miss the whole Korean wave thing. It's everywhere.
It really is. K-dramas, beauty, you name it.
Exactly. So it feels, I don't know, almost inevitable that this cultural exchange would hit the music scene hard too.
Absolutely. And that's really what these sources are digging into, these collaborations popping up between indie musicians and K-pop artists. More and more of them.
Right. And it's moved beyond just like K-pop being popular in India, which obviously it is.
Yeah, that's established. This is more about active partnership, creating things together.
And these partnerships, they seem to take a few different shapes. The sources mention covers, for instance.
Flowers, yeah. Using samples, too. Borrowing bits from existing songs.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to a cool example of that. And then completely new original tracks made together from the ground up.
Exactly. So I guess our mission here for this deep dive is to look at these examples that are in the material you've got.
Right.
And trying to figure out, what do they tell us about how these different musical styles are actually blending? And maybe what it says about the bigger cultural conversation between India and Korea.
Okay, so where's the best place to start? I mean, the sources kind of suggest this whole thing builds on that existing Korean wave popularity in India.
Yeah, that sort of laid the groundwork, created an audience and interest. It definitely feels like fertile ground for this kind of musical cross-pollination.
Moving it from just listening to, like, co-creating.
Precisely. So we see these different types, covers, samples, originals. Did any specific examples from the sources jump out at you first?
Well, there's the one with Alu Arjun, the Indian actor, and the K-pop group TRIBE.
Ah, yeah, for the song Memu Agamo. That one's interesting.
What's the story there?
Well, the sources point out the context is kind of unique. It wasn't just, a regular song release.
Right, it was for an ad, wasn't it?
Exactly. A special music ad project with Coca-Cola and Coke Studio India.
Okay, so big brands are involved, that's telling. And who else was on it? Besides Alu Arjun and TRIBE?
Indian singer Armad and Malik did the vocals. So you've got this mix right there. Indian movie star, K-pop group, popular Indian singer.
And how did the sources describe how they sort of fit together on the track? What was the blend like?
It mentions TRI.BE bringing the melodies and Alu Arjun with his rugged look and smooth dance moves is how they put it.
Okay.
And TRIBE also bringing charismatic presence and soothing vocals. So it's a mix of the visual, the performance, the different vocal textures, all for this commercial project.
Interesting. Okay, moving on to a different type. There was Ashwin Bhaskar and Alexa. She's a K-pop soloist.
Right, they did a cover together of Alexa's song Tattoo.
And the take was that this blended their styles, bridged cultures.
Yeah, that's how the source framed it. And there was a specific detail about how it happened, remember?
Oh, right. It wasn't just them deciding to do it.
No, the material says the offer actually came from Alexa's agency, ZB Label.
Huh. Okay, so that suggests maybe a more strategic push from the K-pop side sometimes? Looking for these connections.
It points to maybe a business angle, not just artists finding each other organically all the time.
It makes sense. It adds another layer. And it's not just new songs or covers, right? The sources also talk about K-pop artists looking back, using elements from Indian music history.
Definitely. Sampling is a huge part of that. The sources mention NCT 127, the K-pop group.
Yes. Their track favorite, Vampire. This one I thought was really neat.
What did they use?
It uses a sample from R, the Bollywood song.
Right.
From Dil to Pagal Hai.
Oh, wow. The whistle part.
Exactly. That really famous whistle. Hearing that woven into an NCT track, it's kind of unexpected, but it works.
And what's significant there, I think, which the sources kind of imply, is that it shows how much global reach Indian film music already has. It's not just influence flowing one way. K-pop is acknowledging these iconic Indian sounds, too.
Yeah, it feels like a respectful nod, almost. Okay, so back to original collabs. Arman Malik pops up again.
Right, this time with Eric Nam. He's Korean-American.
And the track was Echo from 2021. KSHMR was involved too, the producer.
Yep, and the sources highlight this was a big deal for Arman Malik, his first really big global collaboration.
And what was the verdict on the sound? How did they describe that blend?
They called it a seamless fusion. Indian, Korean, and Western musical influences all mixed together.
Seamless fusion. Okay, so it sounds like they were aiming for something pretty integrated, not just like sticking parts together.
Seems that way. Maybe trying to create a sound that feels truly international, drawing from all three places.
Interesting. Okay, and the sources also brought up Wenji. Now, she's not strictly K-pop, maybe, but definitely in that world.
Yeah, she works with K-pop artists, has that K-pop influence.
Mm-hmm.
The source mentioned her EP, Collabsville 1, in Severe.
And specifically a Hindi track on there.
Then you want, yeah. She did that with Shamali Kolged, the Indian singer, and Ika, the rapper.
So, another mix. What was the sound described as?
K-pop style production, but mixed with Bollywood melodies and Desi rap.
Okay. And did the source say anything about how that one was received?
It did, actually. Mentioned the music video got nearly 500,000 views in just the first 24 hours.
Wow. 500,000 views in a day.
Yeah, so that suggests, there's a real audience hunger for this kind of specific fusion.
Yeah.
People clicked immediately.
That's pretty solid evidence. Okay. And one more really high-profile one the sources mention, Jackson Wang and Diljit Dosanjh.
Right. Jackson Wang from GOT7, huge K-pop star. And Diljit Dosanjh, I mean, he's an absolute icon in Punjabi music.
Massive stars from different spheres. Their track was Buck.
Yep.
And the description of the genre blend was pretty extensive. K-pop, R&B, hip-hop, and Punjabi influences. Quite a mix.
Definitely trying to cover a lot of ground there.
How did the sources sum up the result of putting those two powerhouse artists together?
They talked about the dynamic synergy between them and how their distinct cultural styles both came through. It really brought together these huge separate fan bases.
Right. Aiming for that cross-cultural appeal. Okay, so we've seen quite a range here. Ads, covers, agency-led things, classic samples, these big original collabs.
Mm-hmm.
Taking all these examples from the sources together, what's the bigger picture? What does it tell us about what's happening right now?
Well, I think it clearly shows this isn't just a blip. It's a real trend, and it's growing. It's happening in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
The sources really point to this growing cultural exchange, like you said, between two really vibrant, really influential music industries.
And it goes beyond just the business or the cultural idea, right? The sources keep mentioning the actual music, the blending of styles.
Exactly. Bringing together K-pop's, polished sound and performance.
Yeah, the production values.
With maybe Bollywood's knack for melody.
Yeah.
Or the specific rhythms you get from Punjabi music. Plus R&B, hip-hop.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating new sounds, genuinely new combinations.
What I find interesting, looking across all the examples, is how it's happening. It's not just one path.
Right. Sometimes it's the artists driving it.
Mm.
Sometimes it seems more like the agencies or labels making strategic moves.
And even brands, like with the Coke Studio example.
Yeah. And the way they collaborate varies, too. A cover is different from using a sample, which is different, again, from building a whole new track together.
Mm-hmm.
Shows different levels of integration.
So bringing it back to the listener, it's someone listening to this, why should they pay attention to this trend? What's the takeaway for them?
Well, I think it's a live demonstration of how global music is changing. It's not just about one sound dominating.
Right.
It's about mixing, about active creation across borders. And for you, as a listener, it means you get to hear familiar things like that Bollywood whistle in totally new, maybe unexpected international songs.
Yeah, it reframes things. And I think fundamentally these collabs, they really show music acting as a bridge, don't they? It's more than just business. It feels like a cultural conversation happening through rhythm and melody.
Yeah.
Creating something genuinely new that reflects, our interconnected world.
So to sum up what the sources are telling us, K-pop and Indian artists are definitely teaming up more and more. It's a clear trend.
Yeah.
They're blending their unique styles in some really interesting ways and finding big audiences who seem really excited about it.
It definitely leaves you wondering, with all this variety and energy already happening, as these lines keep blurring between music genres globally, especially in this Indo-Korean space, what's next? What kind of completely new sounds or fusions are we going to hear that maybe we can't even picture right now?
That's the exciting question, isn't it? What does the next stage of this fusion sound like?
Thanks for watching Asian Music Idol. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated with the hottest buzz in Asian pop culture.